Hello, Slim Nuts. Hello, Slim Nuts. I'm the animated reviewer. Fucking Britain. Seriously, UK? Did you really think this was a good idea? A sitcom starring Hitler. Maybe as a bad SNL sketch, but an entire series? Really? Alright guys, today we're taking a look at one of the most infamous almost sitcoms of all time, Heil Honey I'm Home. This series from 1990 follows Adolf Hitler and his wife as they live with their Jewish neighbors. Believe it or not, it was actually picked up for an entire season on the British network Galaxy. As a closed-minded American, I really don't know who they are, so let me look it up real quick. Its original shows included Jupiter Moon and 31 West and ended after less than a year. Good to know I'm not missing out on much. It was written by G.F. Atkinson, whom I can only assume is the dumbass brother of Rowan Atkinson. He has his name in some other unknown British shows and magazines like Punch and Spitting Image. Again, nice to know I'm not missing out on much. Heil Honey I'm Home, despite having 8 episodes made, only aired as pilot after many called it tasteless and crass. Personally, I don't really care about that. I've seen enough porn for it not to bother me. It's more of the fact that it's just not funny and relies a lot on referential humor that most people wouldn't even get. And yes, it's a parody of other sitcoms of the time like All in the Family, I Love Lucy, and obviously Hi Honey I'm Home, which, fun fact, premiered a year after Heil Honey I'm Home. But those shows are different. Their names are grammatically correct. Despite all this, Heil Honey has still become a popular sitcom in recent years, with no shortage of help from the internet, being known as one of the most controversial, strangest, and worst shows of all time. And this is what I get for making a series where I review television shows. Let's take a look at Heil Honey I'm Home.
At home I was lied to, blowing my dad. So now I would like to kill all love's issues.
The episode starts with a blank screen of text that's about some TV executive named Brandon Thalberg Jr. A quick Google search will take you back to Heil Honey I'm Home, and he has no IMDb page. From what I can tell, Brandon Thalberg Jr. is a fake name. Granted, if I created a show like this, I would also like my name off of it, so I guess I can't really blame him for that. When the episode finally decides to start, we get to hear that brilliant theme song.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Hello.
I'm home. Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Smile honey. Because I'm home. Gee, it's great to be Top Gun, but it's nothing like the fun that I get when I say Heil Honey, I am home. Heil Honey.
Heil Honey.
Smile honey. Gee, it's great to be back. Heil Honey, I'm home.
Oh, where do I begin? How about with its repetitiveness? I swear to Christ, this piece of shit says Heil Honey 12 times within the 28 seconds it's here. That means, on average, it says that fucking phrase once every 2.33 seconds. Then, there's every other phrase it spits at us. Let's take a listen to those, shall we?
Gee, it's great to be Top Gun, but it's nothing like the fun that I get when I say Heil Honey, I am home.
Yeah, I'm not analyzing them. I think they speak for themselves. Lastly, the music. Listening to just that, would you imagine that this sitcom is about Hitler? I guess it's trying to be ironic, which is an important part of being a spoof, but I don't know what it's trying to be ironic about. Nothing in it seems off or differentiates it from any other sitcom opening, and no, adding Hitler is not enough of a difference. So instead of making fun of them, it feels more like it's joining them. God, the show hasn't even started yet. Once we're past that, we see the poor fella they suckered into playing Hitler saying the classic line,
Heil Honey, I'm home.
There it is, there it is.
"Oh, show, you already used your title drop? You know you're only allowed one of those every couple episodes. Save them for the special occasions." And if you're wondering, that's Neil McCullough's Adolf Hitler. Apart from this, he really hasn't done much that's noteworthy. Actually, just assume that about everyone in this, except for one person, but we'll get to him when we get to him. The episode continues as Adolf finds that he's in trouble with the missus.
Heil Honey me.
What did I do now?
Are those supposed to be German accents? But how? Everyone sounds like a cross between an Italian New Yorker and a New Jersey Jew.
What a jerk!
New York, New Jersey.
I'm a very, very bad Hitler.
And what is she mad about? Does it really matter? Especially since she's name dropping like she's accepting an Oscar.
On Monday you had had to meet with Goebbels. On Tuesday, von Ribbentrop. On Wednesday, Klaus Katzenjammer.
Come on, it's not like you can just leave the Reich Minister of Propaganda, the Foreign Minister of Nazi Germany, and his apparent tailor. And it's not like anyone's going to know any of those unless they do research like I did. Some generic sitcom bullshit happens, even a stereotypical fourth wall break. Man, this is all so dull. I wonder what Hitler would say about this.
Ich habe deshalb abgelehnt, jemals vor dieses Volk hinzutreten und billige Versprechungen.
Sooner or later, we learn that they're having Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England, over. You've got to give the writers this. At least they did their research. I'd argue a bit too much research, but their research nonetheless.
It's Czechoslovakia. You finally did it, didn't you? You finally went one step too far, Mr. Big Shot.
Again, I can't fault the writers for getting this correct. This completely checks out as the UK, Germany, and a few other countries signed the Munich Agreement following Hitler taking over part of Czechoslovakia. The problem is that it's being brought up at all. There are so many political references throughout, and they're not funny, nor are they entertaining. There's a reason why at the end of Wolfenstein 3D there isn't a Hitler tearing apart the Munich Agreement. But that really wouldn't matter if there was some funny political humor. But there isn't. Anyone who watches The Daily Show or The Colbert Report can tell you that politics can be funny. But there really aren't any political jokes here. There are more references that come between the actual jokes. And even they aren't funny. They're the same jokes you'd hear in any old sitcom, just with Adolf and Eva Hitler saying them. And again, no. They alone don't make them different enough. Even more generic sitcom bullshit before we meet the best parts of the show. The Goldsteins. God, that sounds like a sitcom within itself. Unlike Adolf and Eva, these two are actually funny. Yeah, they bicker like any other couple in a comedy and are amazingly stereotypical portrayals of Jewish people, but they are actually given some funny jokes. They are Hitler's nosy Jewish neighbors, and even though Eva gets along with them somewhat well, Adolf can't stand them, and half the time it seems they can't stand each other. Think of them as the Mertz from I Love Lucy. If anything, you could even say that they are less funny clones of the Mertz from I Love Lucy. I'd even argue that they are practically the same married couple as the Mertz from I Love Lucy. But you know what? That doesn't matter because they're the only ones who get any decent jokes in this. And that's probably because they're the only characters not based on real people. So they don't have to worry about making some stupid jokes about Hitler taking over Poland or something.
Sometimes I think you care more about that dumb bird than you care about me.
Hey, Rosa, say what you like about me. But leave the bird out of this.
Go on, say it, Arnie.
Okay. I hate your mother.
I can't believe you just said you hate my mother.
Ruth is always talking about how nice it would be to go to England.
So's Hitler, but he's not going to marry Chamberlain.
You want Ruth should find a nice man so she don't need to stay with us?
No, I want Ruth should drop dead so she won't need to stay.
And if that's not good enough for you, might I suggest being distracted by the fact that the Hitlers live in an apartment building despite the fact that they already rule over Germany and have already taken over part of Czechoslovakia. Not to mention how everyone speaks English despite the fact that they all live in Berlin, Germany.
I'm a very, very bad Hitler.
While Adolf goes to get the Prime Minister, we meet the Goldsteins' niece, I think, who's named Ruth. Oh, how do I describe Ruth? Imagine if Daria was both autistic and retarded and spoke as if she constantly had a cold. That would be Ruth Goldstein. And yes, she's about as funny and charming as she sounds. She is amazingly annoying.
Gosh, she's a lot of laughs.
Tell me about it. As you would guess if you saw any episode of I Love Lucy, Ava was told not to tell the Goldsteins about Neville Chamberlain and opts to tell the wife via charades. And if you know anything about Heil Honey I'm Home, you'd know that's as humorous as staring at a new SpongeBob episode and goes on for about as long as a terrible dick joke. Which is followed by...
Swear and promise, may retribution curse my lips.
Why did you just have a Jew give the old Heil Hitler salute? Did no one look at this and think, hey guys, this might be a bit too offensive or too stupid? Like, seriously, what the fuck? After offending about 14.2 million people, the Jewish wife, let's face it, that's all her character is, gets the bright idea to get Ruth and Neville Chamberlain to hook up. Because I'm sure Anne de Vere Chamberlain, his wife from 1911 to his death in 1940, would have absolutely no problem with this at all. But for whatever reason, Adolf has a sneaking suspicion that his wife told him Neville.
Hiya, Bob. Is he here yet?
Who?
And he always acting the clown, honey.
I have no idea why, but that's what he thinks. Luckily, his wife has an idea.
We get the Goldensteins tipsy so they fall asleep. Then we can bundle them back to their apartment.
Or you could just throw him in the shower. But as it turns out, Chamberlain caught an earlier flight and is already on his way. So Adolf heads out, and when he gets back...
Heil Honey I'm Home!
Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. At least now we have an actual actor with some experience, as that's Patrick Cargill as Neville Chamberlain. Us Americans wouldn't know him too well, but in Europe he's had over 90 credited roles, including Inspector Clouseau, The Beatles' Help, the original The Avengers, and the original Around the World in 80 Days. So it's about time we add some talent to this steaming pile of...
I'm a little teapot short. There's my handle, there's my spout. When I get my steam up, hear me shout. Tip me up and pour me out.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Such a trained and experienced actor has been reduced to whatever the fuck everyone else's performance is in this trash. Oh, how not surprising it is that this is his last credited role before dying in '96. I'd imagine that this show probably gave him cancer that lasted 6 years. So now, Adolf doesn't only have the Goldsteins to deal with, but they're drunk too. Oh, what hilarious hijinks could they get?
I came, I saw, I conquered. I came, I saw, I conquered.
Hello,
Ooh. That's not funny. This goes on for a while too long before Jew wife grabs Ruth and Neville gives Adolf an agreement to sign. The first one goes as expected with few laughs and them getting together in the end. The second also goes as expected with few laughs and Hitler being forced to sign the document even though he doesn't want to. The rest of the episode is filler and the writers trying to make us care, including a scene of Hitler hiding the agreement in the fridge. Because of course he would. And a scene where apparently everyone is illiterate. Same could probably go for the board meeting where they came up with the show. And the episode ends with the audience clapping to a freeze frame. And that was Heil Honey I'm Home. It's about as good as you would expect. It's an unfunny parody of sitcoms that, instead of making fun of all the tropes and stereotypes, seems to unwillingly join them. The only laughs to gain are with the Goldsteins, where at least they seem to be having some fun and learning from the sitcoms of the past, and even that has been done so much better in I Love Lucy. There is nothing really worth gaining as a viewer and should only be watched if you're really interested in seeing one of the greatest flops in television history. I'm the animator reviewer and... God, I need some ponies.
Everyone at my school called me a fag. At home I was lied to, blowing my dad. So now I would like to kill all of the Jews. I just saw my gas bill and I want to die. But before I go I will tell you goodbye.
My God, Adolf Hitler! 2 of you! Of course! Don't you know anything about science?